Welcome to Satsang. As you know, I get a lot of emails, and well over 90%, they're always talking about feelings. I feel depressed, or I didn't feel good, or I felt this way or that way. It's always about feeling, right? Okay. But it is very rare. As a matter of fact, I don't remember ever receiving a letter asking, what is feeling? You see? Now, feel it out before we go into it, because it's going to be very, very sensitive. In order to feel what a feeling is, you have to really feel it from the heart, because it is something that the thought cannot feel. Thought cannot feel feeling. It is the feeling that feels the thought. Mm-hmm. Let's go into that, okay? But don't take my word for it. Feel it as we explore it and ask any questions. We go into it. You see, if we were to find out, well, you know, where did feeling come from? Aren't we feeling being? Yes, we are feeling beings. Okay? But there are so many gradations of feeling. You see, there's pure feeling, which we're going to be talking about, the primal feeling. And then there is emotional feeling, there is sexual feeling, there is sensation feeling. You see what I mean? So feeling covers such big areas. Even when you go into the senses, you see, I can feel you through my eyes. I can feel you through my ears. I feel I'm sitting down. I'm feeling I am talking. So feeling covers every aspect. So we go back to what is feeling. I guess we can explore it by doing this. In the beginning, in the primal sense, when we said there was the great void, there is one thing that was there, okay, and which all the scriptures tell us, there was pure awareness. Pure awareness is causeless. It had no beginning and no end, and from it came what we call life. So what if we say to ourselves that primal awareness, that pure awareness, is really pure feeling? Okay? We feel through our consciousness, or rather, consciousness came from that pure feeling. So, let's see how I can explain pure feeling. Let me say this, okay. What is the difference between thought and feeling? What would be the difference between the two?
Emotion.
Well, emotion is thought. Actually, the thought, when it's identified with and we believe the thought, it becomes any motion of energy felt in the body. But what is pure feeling, as apart from thought?
Essence.
What is the difference between the two?
One is reaction and one is essence.
Okay, it's true, pure feeling is essence. But thought cannot feel. Thought is always about it. Always about it, never it itself. It is here now that we are going to begin to understand something that the mind really cannot understand. This is why it's such a sensitive subject, because you cannot learn it in psychology, you cannot learn it with any mind thing. It is something that you can only know it from deep within, by that inner intuitive looking. Okay, let's talk about love, okay? Now, you can talk about love, you can think about love all you want, but that doesn't mean that you are feeling love. Because thinking about love and feeling love aren't exactly the same, right? You can think all you want about love, but you don't know what love is until you feel love. So it is the feeling that is alive in us, that is totally alive. So that primal essence is pure feeling. Now, from pure feeling comes what we call impure feeling. Okay, this is the consciousness of an object outside of you, and then incidentally, pure feeling, is like awareness, self-recognizing itself. For example, right now, okay, feel this room. Feel everything. You're sitting down, you're listening, you're aware of everything. You can feel everything around you. Now close your eyes. And as you close your eyes now, everything has disappeared, right? Because you closed your eyes. So right now, what is left? You can feel the feeling, can't you? You're aware, your eyes are closed. And so there is the awareness of awareness itself. Or we can say, because we're referring to pure awareness as pure feeling, it is the feeling aware of the feeling. Okay, open your eyes. Did you get that? You were not thinking. The moment you close your eyes and you're not feeling anything, what is left feeling is you, feeling the feeling. Right? You know you are. Okay, that is the primal sense of feeling. And this is why reflection, meditation are encouraged. Because it is then that we really get in touch with the natural state of what we are. Feeling of that pure feeling itself. Now from that pure feeling comes thought. Thought has to do with time, whereas feeling has to do with now. So when you begin to think, okay, about something, what happens is that it replaces feeling. So we have both a left brain and a right brain. The left brain is a thinking brain. Okay, it solves problems, it's very good for business, it's good for money, it's good for structure, for organization. The right brain has to do more with feeling. It has to do more with music, creativity, sensitivity, etc., etc. Our brain is divided into two parts, right and left brain. And in order for us to function well, they have to be in balance between the two. Okay. Sometimes if the right brain, which is the feeling brain, is overdeveloped, it becomes very emotional. You see? So even then, and what is an emotion? It is when the pure feeling is no longer pure, but it combines itself with a thought. See, the moment you put thought with a pure feeling, it becomes emotion, motion of energy. So you feel it in the body. So this is where we begin to understand time a little bit. Okay, let me put it this way. I'd like you now to visualize a horizontal line, a straight line. Okay? This horizontal line represents represents memory, represents thinking, represents the ego, represents the idea of structure, represents the idea of form. So this straight line is formed every time that we think instead of feel. Because the feeling always comes from the center of that straight line. The center of that straight line is the I am of you. Okay? Which is the now itself. See, isn't everything happening within now? Can anything happen outside of now? Is it possible for anything to happen outside of now?
No.
It's not possible, right? Yet we believe in past and future, right? Now when can past and future happen? When can it happen?
Bringing it now.
It says now, always now. So this is where the mind starts boggling right now. That past and future happen now. And this is scientifically proven. You see? So the horizontal line is created because we start living in illusion, because we begin to think so much instead of feel, that the thought represents another world, a parallel world, but a world that is false. So we begin to believe that we are totally the past, even though it's history and it's memory and it's gone. And we cannot see it as still the present within us, carrying us and making us behave from it. But we still think there is a past. But in truth, there is no past. There is only now, forever. Eternally so. In our heart, we know this. But with our thinking mind, we don't. We do believe there is a past. We do believe there is a future. But again, I have to repeat. When you bring it to the I am, and now can never end. Never, ever, ever. There is no exit to now. Now is forever, because it never had a beginning. So now we begin to see somewhat what is pure feeling. You see, it is the now itself. When you create this horizontal line, which most people, 98% of the population live from, you begin to live from a false idea of self. Or you say, I am like this because of what I've experienced. I am like this because of how I've learned, because of what has happened to me in the past. You see, which is true because the body itself is memory. See, that every cell in the body is memory. It's made up of trillions and trillions of cells. So the body itself is carrying all those memories. But even when you feel those memories, let's say I've been abused or beaten. And every time I think about this person who beat me, I begin to feel that memory, that pain. But when I'm feeling it now. Always now. But because I'm carrying part of that memory in my body, I begin to think of when it happened. You see? But now if we start to understand that this horizontal line made up of past and future is just a line that in truth doesn't exist except in our imagination. If you go on an airplane and you look down and you see a boat moving in the water, you can see a streak of water behind it that's called the past. And you can see where it's heading, which is the future, as you see it going in a straight line, right? But in truth, wherever the boat is where the boat is. Because that is now. So the past that it's leaving behind is gone, and the future hasn't happened yet. So what is real is the movement of this moment, which we think it has left the past and going into a future. Okay, so this is what the mind is doing all the time. And because of this, our thinking is always from the past. So this is why, this is bombastic what you're going to hear next. There is no thought that can be real. No thought that you can think that can be real. But a feeling is. Because pure feeling, when it's taken down to its utmost center, okay, it always brings us to balance, to love, to alignment. So this is what we have to understand, is that this horizontal line is a timeline, okay, which everybody believes is real. And so the moment we believe this straight line, the faster we age. Because we get so preoccupied with how I think I am, how my personality is, how I was brought up, how people react to me, experiences that I've had. We live so much from a story that story itself is carried within us and becomes alive. Because again, there's another thing too, that even thought is not real, yet it produces the world we experience. You see? So the world itself is not as real as we think. It is made up of imagination. In fact, any wise man, any awakened person will tell you that each person that you see, they live in their own world. Your world, your world, your world, your world is totally different the way we perceive it. Doesn't mean right or wrong. No, it isn't. But collectively, we are all in similar parallel worlds. So this is when we begin to understand and have compassion for others, because Everybody is living from that horizontal line. When we start bringing everything into that center moment of I am, which is the now, okay? The moment you bring it now, anything at all that you bring it now, immediately the story falls away, because the story has to do with the past. But what doesn't fall away is still the feeling. If you stick with the feeling without the story, you begin to heal it in a way you never thought was possible. You'll heal it in a way that no doctor can heal you. Because anything that you bring totally to the now, okay, with what means, and I'm repeating myself, this horizontal line is made up of thought. The moment you bring it to the moment, thought is no longer in control. What is in control now is feeling. You're feeling it, you're looking at it, you're experiencing it. You see, the moment you do that, you're not caught in this story, but you are simply experiencing the feeling that is going on. You can feel it physically because the body is very present. The body is extremely present. If you had a shock when you were a child, and you remember that shock, that the body in the now experiences that shock all over again as if it's happening now. Got it? If you were to experience that shock, that sensation, which is a feeling, you see, it's not a pure thought, it's not pure feeling, but it's a sensation thought, which is a feeling too. Okay? You are totally bringing it to now. When you bring it to now totally, without that horizontal line, because you leave whatever you think about it, whatever story happened, you leave it. You stick only with the feeling, not with the thought about it. Okay? You begin to heal it. And then what happens with the healing is that you create a vertical line. The vertical line means this. It's no longer like this now. The I am is in the middle. Now this is the vertical line. And so when we experience something in the moment, completely in the moment, okay, to the point where it goes beyond thought and remains in the feeling, we begin to ascend. You've heard that we are ascending, right? Spiritually. Or a person says, oh my goodness, I was very angry and I was so upset, but I stayed with it. And I just looked at it. I didn't judge it as wrong. I didn't because that's all thoughts about it. I just experienced it. The moment I experienced it, after from crying, I began to laugh. And I'm okay. So therefore, because that's vertical. So now what is happening is that you're going higher. You see, this is why we call it the divine self, because you go up high. And you feel high. You feel light. You see? Okay, so we're understanding now the movement. Now, the more you go into that moment and experience the moment fully, you begin to enter that center to the point where the horizontal line gets smaller and smaller. When it becomes so small that there's nothing but that center, we call it fully awakened. You see? And now you're living totally from that moment. Now, the three things that are always affecting us and making us stay and make real the horizontal line, they are three that I mentioned already, but they are the three that we seek all the time, which are qualities of the being, which is the pure feeling. Okay? Now, you know what I mean by pure feeling. When a child is born, after maybe 6 months or so, they become very blissful, their smile is so glorious, they're so innocent, they haven't learned to speak yet or walk, but they're very joyous. Sometimes they laugh and they steal your heart. Well, they are totally pure feeling at that moment. You see? That pure feeling is that divine essence that right now there is no thought, that there is no right or wrong or good or bad or you shouldn't or should. There are no rules, there is only this moment, and this moment itself is the divine self. So it takes you higher. Now the thing that we ask often is, what is it that keeps us living on this horizontal line, creating stress? Stress is often called disease. because it's lack of ease, right? So therefore there's a disease, the body suffers, the mind suffers, everything suffers. Okay, these are three. See, the qualities of pure being, or which is pure feeling, are made up of happiness, joy, peace, love, fulfillment, security, safety. All these are qualities because they are nothing. Feel each one. They are nothing. Just, right now I feel safe. What is that feeling of safety? It's a pure feeling. It's only when I don't feel safe that it becomes impure. Why? Because if I am negative, I am thinking something negative. If I am positive, I'm not thinking anything positive necessarily. I can feel positive, in other words, I feel good, without actually thinking anything, but by being here. I'm okay, I'm relaxed. You see? What does it take to be happy? Stop thinking. Stop being self-concerned. So what we call the horizontal line is called self-concerned. You're concerned about your age, you're concerned about your health, you're concerned about your mind, you're concerned about your money, your economics, etc., etc. Self-concern. Self-concern keeps you always on a track. When you start to move into that I am, and move into pure feeling, that's actually when miracles start happening. Because when a person feels safe, totally secure, not because they have $1 million, not because they have a lot of possessions, it's just that they feel safe because they never think about not being safe. They just don't have any of that. So they're so pure in their feeling that safety and security are part of their makeup. You see, we've returned, what the wise man says, we've returned to innocence. See? We're no longer thinking so much. We're just being. Okay. Now, the three things that break us down and keep us totally stuck in self-concern are needing approval, needing security, and needing control. And what is interesting is that every time that you feel depressed, angry, upset, frightened, any form of fear, you'll always come back to one of these. Always. Ask anything, ask any question at all that has bothered you, that has brought you stress, and you'll find it has one of these three. Can you ask anything at all? Something that has bothered you, something that has made you feel uncomfortable. You might not have known what it was, but then you say, oh, I was thinking about my financial situation, I was thinking about my health, or I thought maybe I could have some serious disease, or I worried that my lover is going to leave me, or my marriage is going to break up. In other words, there's always something, okay? It always falls down into those three. Now, when you feel that you're going to have a loss in your life, which is frightening, we feel insecure. We feel not safe. Got it? So we seek safety. You see? Right now, for example, every single person you can think of, 99% of the time, they are seeking someone. To have someone in their life. Because they think if I have someone, I'm going to feel secure emotionally. You see, that doesn't mean you don't feel secure for a time being. But we'll always want to create some thought, some structure to give us what is pure feeling. But only pure feeling can give you that. For example, again, we go back to happiness. Now everybody wants to be happy. So we think, well, if I acquire this, I'm going to be happy. If I achieve that, it's going to make me happy. But then we find after a little while, you're back in square one. You see? But one thing that makes you happy is when you give up wanting anything at all. That doesn't mean there's something wrong in wanting. It's just that you see very clearly that in pure feeling you've got everything you want. And if you totally need something and you are in pure feeling, it will come to you. You see? Because that is the nature of life. The nature of life is love. And the beautiful thing about life and love, which is the vertical, when you totally, for example, let's say, these are facts, these are stories that you come to know after a while. Suppose you are a person who doesn't have much money, and you've been a little worried about not having enough. But somehow or other, something comes to you and says, yeah, life is love, and therefore we are all one. And what if I start giving? You see somebody in need, you give them a little bit of money. You see? But all the time knowing that when you give, you receive, because we are all connected. We are all one. You see? Before you know it, because you're aligned vertically, there is nothing that you cannot have when you begin to align with that process. You see? Because now you bring everything to one. So the wonderful thing about this is that it's so effortless. Because no matter what you're feeling, no matter how bad you are feeling, no matter how fearful you are feeling, if you bring it to the now moment, now you know what that means, to bring it to now to the moment if there's a fear. It means you remove the story about it, because the story is horizontal. Are you with me so far? Mm-hmm. This is very important. So if you bring anything negative to the moment, okay, you only bring the feeling of it, but not the thought about it. So the story is no longer there, because the story remains in horizontal time. In the now, if you bring it in the now totally, what you bring is only the feeling. And the feeling at that moment, if it happens to be fear, you can feel it in your body. Your heart pounding, your stomach churning, it's happening now in your body. But if there is no story, if there is no thought, if you are totally with the discomfort alone, you will find after a while you take a few deep breaths, the body begins to relax, and that awful feeling will leave you. You see? Because it was totally brought into alignment with that center, which is vertical. You see? So everything that you bring into that center, it's just like saying, you know, I give it to God, so to speak. I give it to life. I give it to whatever I'm feeling. Because you are, each one of us is pure feeling, pure being. So no matter what is happening, okay, the moment you bring it to pure feeling, without the thought about it, without worry, without concern, self-concern or anything, because if you bring it to the moment, there is no self-concern. Is that clear? You see that very clearly, right?
Could you maybe elaborate on that point? Because
okay,
usually if there's a strong fear, for example,
yes,
it just grips them, and then usually what comes is that commentary. Usually they'll say, a person would say, oh, I wish this were not happening, or usually they will just come, oh, you know, they'll say something really negative, and then
right,
go into the
because they're not bringing it to the moment.
So
right.
Is there some
if
little tips as to how to do it?
Okay, this is what I'm saying. Like if we bring it to the moment, it means you make it totally present. Whatever is happening, present. So if your mind is saying, why did this have to happen, or I wish it doesn't happen, we're going back future and past.
But you know, is there some trick to help them not get into that thing? You know,
get into the body, completely into the body. The body feels every emotion, every irritation, everything. It feels everything.
Would it help to say something like, I'm okay?
It helps if you believe it. But you see what happens in the beginning, and yes, to say you're okay and really mean it, it's fantastic. But the point is not to kid yourself, okay? So you get into the moment and you experience, and if you know that essentially you're okay, yes, it will definitely help you. But here I'm explaining to you about those people who are worrying about past and future, and I'm telling you how they should do it, you see? Because people who are not ready, if they say I'm okay and they don't believe it, they're only kidding ourselves. Okay.
So you're saying feel the body?
Feel the body. Yeah. Now, feeling the body is this, because the body is a feeling just like everything else, but it's an emotional feeling. Okay? Why? Because the body is made up of trillions of cells. Those cells are intelligent. They are a DNA. They are genetic memory. They are a memory. You see? Our body is not as solid and real as much as we think. It is consciousness in appearance. So it carries everything in it. But the beautiful thing about the body is that the body is always present. Always. Whatever you're feeling is always now. Okay? So when you experience the body totally, okay, and you stay with the body, the mind will keep saying, oh my God, what if I have cancer? What if maybe I'm going to have a heart attack? Or maybe this is going to happen. See, the point is we're going back into the future. And we're going back to horizontal line. We are not sticking with the moment. The point is, for a few seconds, stay with the body completely. And if a worry comes or a concern comes, just for the moment, okay, you stick with the body, nothing else. You breathe into the body, the heart it's pumping, everything else is going, the sensations are going, but all sensations are now. And you keep it totally now. By doing that, keeping it totally present, if your mind is trying to get rid of it, okay, it is going after control, which is future. Got it? I'm going to control this so that it won't bother me. Okay? In other words, horizontal time. So the mind, to focus totally on the sensation, on the body alone. By doing that completely, the mind stops thinking. All it needs is just a few moments. If you do that for 1 minute, complete absorption into that moment, you're still in vertical space. You see, you're still aligning yourself with divine essence. Because let's say a fear occurs. You know, all of a sudden, boom, there's an immediate fear. And you have the presence of mind to take a deep breath and just be with what is happening in your body. That very moment you've taken to do that shows great love, great presence. Okay, at that moment you'll find that the fear goes away. Now, there have many people been sentenced to die in the electric chair or to be hanged, you know, and they had to go through the night. Oh, at dawn we're going to hang you. You know, they spend a sleepless night, okay, going through this tremendous, but somehow or other, maybe through divine grace, they've experienced the fear so completely that by the time they're ready to go, they just walk to the gallows. It's been many cases have been given like this. See, when a person, the moment they face the fear will drop. Okay, because facing it means bringing it into the present, and it's acting in the body. The moment you go through that churning, but keep it totally here, you see, you'll find that the fear will drop. There's something else too that happens with people. For example, a study was made about people terminally ill. They go through 5 stages. You've heard of those 5 stages? Okay.
Dying?
And dying, yeah. People who are dying. Okay? They go through 5 stages. Okay? In the beginning there's denial, there's depression and blah blah blah, and finally they enter the 5th stage, which is total acceptance. Because it's inevitable, I'm going to die anyway. Okay? Well, the moment you accept it, you find you're not even afraid. The last moment, in fact, could be a spiritual experience. Because the moment you face death, which is the most frightening thing there is for a human being, okay, the moment you face death completely, you'll find something in you says there's only pure feeling. And if you realize pure feeling, which is pure awareness, which is the essence of you, you'll almost laugh at death, because death is impossible. You see? Death is not possible, because death is only to the body. But the body is dying all the time. You know, if I look at my body, I've taken so many photographs, you know, when I was well, I've got pictures of myself as a baby, and then I was a child learning to walk. I became a teenager. I was a bodybuilder, and I had a body 200 pounds. I was Mr. Eastern Canada at one point. And so what I'm saying is that I was totally different bodies, totally different. I have been about 7 or 8 different bodies as I look back. Am I those bodies? I was then at that moment, but right now I am not really the body. I am that which is going through these many bodies. I am that essence which is recycling all these bodies. Not only that, but you could be recycling your name. You could take on a spiritual name, or you could, your personality change, or your beliefs change. Or you had a religion, all of a sudden you realize it was not true. You see, and you begin to go through tremendous transformation, changes, you see. But the experiencer is that pure feeling. See, this is the beautiful thing, is that we are feeling all the time because our essence is pure feeling. The moment thought comes with the pure feeling, then we call it, I'm depressed, I am angry, I am frightened, I am this, I don't feel well, I feel heavy, I feel old, I feel this and I feel that.
So in other words, you don't feel that to have be the observer and make a commentary to yourself, I'm feeling this fear. That's not helpful.
No, but you can say fear is taking place and I'm looking at it. Or you can say that my body is going through this feeling. Or you can put it that way.
Some people say you can just kind of stand back and observe it and make a commentary, and that helps you.
Yes, if you see, when you start watching the body, you will automatically become detached. Why? 1, because you're totally present, and 2, you're not giving in to your thoughts. You see, there's another thing about thinking, and thank you for asking that. There's another thing about thinking, is that thinking has the process of identification. You see, the moment you think, you begin to believe that thought. Chances are you're going to believe it. Okay? The moment you believe a thought, immediately becomes emotional. The moment the thought becomes emotional, it takes care of the body. I don't mean it takes care of it. It means that it takes over the body. Okay? If right now you're walking and all of a sudden you look in the mirror and you say, oh my God, I'm getting so old. Okay, all it takes is that thought. If you believe it completely, you might even start walking happy at that moment. Okay, the power of thought is so strong. But if you believe you're still young, if you feel, then you begin to feel young and you act light. So remember, light and dark. Okay, when you move vertical, it's always light. It's always high. So even your body doesn't feel heavy. It feels light. You see? So the horizontal is always heavy because it's always concerned about itself. So are we beginning to understand how powerful feeling is? Okay? Everything is a feeling. But that feeling is not you. Only pure feeling is you. Anything else that comes with it, sensation, emotional, fear, negativity, etc., that comes with that feeling is not the truth. The truth is pure feeling. Your nature is bliss, Satchitananda. Your nature is love. Okay? That is your true nature. Very few people experience your nature because we are conditioned in the world to think a lot. And because we think a lot, when people think, they believe their thoughts. Did you know that most people believe their thoughts? Right. And that's when we fall. And that's when we're totally stuck in horizontal time. But the moment we discover that we can break up that horizontal line by a center, which is called I am. I am. And the I am is now. But you cannot say I am now. Why can't I say I am now? I am being now.
It relates to time.
Hmm?
It's relating to time.
because it's not only relating to time, but you're also separating. Because I am is now itself. Got it? The now is who you really are. Your body has gone through many changes, your mind has gone through many changes. Excuse me. Your personality has gone through change, your thinking has gone through change, but there's one thing that never changed. I am. Always here. Eternally so. With infinite possibilities. You see? There's a beautiful phrase, I can never repeat it enough. Be still and know I am God. You see? So the I am is itself the highest. Because everybody, the 7 billion people on this earth, they all say I am. See, but there's only one I am. And that is the mystery. How we all seem to be separate, just like the ocean. It has billions of waves, and each wave is unique and different and separate from the others, but it's still the same water, still the same thing. Well, it's the same with us. You see? So even though we are different from each other, but the I am of you is the I am of everyone that you see. So if you give to them, you feel love, not thinking love, not right? You feel love for another, you begin to love yourself automatically. The secret of loving yourself is so simple. Forget yourself and love others, love another or others. The moment you start loving, that very feeling of love makes you forget yourself. That self-forgetting is self-love. Because you become the moment. You're no longer an ego now trying to be this or trying to be that. You are. You see? And that moment you just are. And that areness is always love. When you take something to its purest essence, you remove everything from it. You remove all sensation, all negativity, all darkness, all muck, all debris. You see? And you get to its center, you come back to pure feeling. Pure feeling is always joy. It's always love. So that is the beauty of every one of us. The only problem is that we keep identifying with I am this and I am that. I am like this and I am like that. And these are all lies that we tell ourselves, because you are not the horizontal time, which is memory. You see? So we go back, and then you'll find something interesting here, that every time that you are not happy, every time that you are not feeling fulfilled, it's because you're seeking either security, safety, or control. The moment you discover that, you don't stop. Say, oh, I mustn't seek them anymore. No, 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 no. Just say, thank you for making me aware that I'm seeking what I already am. See the difference? You bring it totally present. Because if you say, I'm seeking approval because I want love, the moment you say that, you're bringing it into the future. But if you say, oh, I caught myself seeking approval. Oh, thank you for making me aware. Because the love that I'm seeking, I already am, because I am now. Now is always complete. Now is always fulfilled. See? So, do we understand the power of feeling now? You know, I didn't do it justice, and I apologize, because how can you talk about feeling, you know? But everything is feeling. You see? Yeah.
So feeling is not necessarily a verb. It's what awareness is.
Yeah, it's what awareness is. You can say that. Yeah. It's what awareness is. Pure. We're talking about pure feeling. Now, pure feeling comes all the other feelings, but you'll find that all you are is a feeling. You see, and it takes gradations of darkness. For example, you know, you are pure light. In essence, you are pure light. But then, because of these different thoughts from the horizontal time that we live, they take on more gray, and darker and darker and darker. When it gets very dark, a person is depressed, or a person is going insane, or a person is, you know, you see, is going totally out of alignment with the source. So you bring everything to that center, to that moment, to that I am. And the moment you bring it to the center, you don't have to worry about not thinking about it, because if you bring it to now totally, you stop thinking. Okay, maybe we could have some example here. Can you come here a second? I want to hold your hand for a moment. Okay. Now, okay, I'm going to hold your hand. Okay, this is a feeling. Okay, can you feel my hand? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, the mind, usually when the hand is being held, you say, do I like this person or not like? Why is he doing this or this? You see, the mind is always thinking. That's horizontal. Mm-hmm. Now, stop all that and just, not even Burt is holding the hand or anything. Just the hand is being held. Now I'm pressing. Now experience that totally. Totally feel it. Totally feel it. Not good or bad or pressure or pain or just feel it. Just feel it. Totally present. Totally now. You know, sometimes you can take a deep breath and stay with that feeling. Okay, now, what happens when you do that? It's very subtle. What happens when you stay with the feeling and not thinking, why did he do this? What does it mean? Or what I'm supposed to do? Nothing. Just feel the feeling. Just feel the touch. What happens?
It's relaxing.
It's relaxing, isn't it? Thank you. Thank you. And if we understand the word relaxing, that's the peace. That's the happiness. That's the joy. You see what I mean? The moment it doesn't matter, even if it's painful sometimes. You know, I've learned hypnotherapy when quite a few years ago, and I learned to apply it quite a bit. You know, and one thing that I used to do is a person would come to me, they have a headache, or they're very tired, or they're very depressed, and I found sometimes it's very difficult to deal with these people. So what I would do after they've been talking about and maybe get hysterical, very upset, I would put my finger on their forehead. And I said, now, just for a few moments, continue, but just for a few moments, I said, feel my finger. Feel it against the forehead now. Think of nothing else but the finger and the forehead. Feel the pressure, feel the moisture, feel the temperature of the finger. Just nothing else but the finger and the forehead at the same time. Think nothing else but that. Okay, and I do that for about a minute. The moment I remove my finger, totally relaxed. You see? All those thoughts that they had, and I said, now how do you feel now? And they say, yeah, I feel relaxed, I feel much better. Why? Because at that moment I brought them to the moment. You see, I brought them here. And this moment is always pure feeling. Pure feeling is the God in you. It's the heart in you. It's the sensitivity in you. You see? Sometimes when people think a lot, you can see it in their faces. They're very serious most of the time. They hardly ever smile. They always look a little worried and, in other words, self-concerned. You see? But the moment they start totally feel and stop thinking, just feel for a few moments. Pure feeling. You begin to relax into your essence. See, so what you're doing is bringing the horizontal into that center of I am. I am is always now. And it doesn't matter how much fear there is or upsetness there is or whatever is happening. If you bring it to the I am of now, you start going into a vertical line, which means you're going to get high now. You're going to get better. You see? So, so is that clear? Okay, are there any questions here?
Could you explain the difference between emotion and feeling?
Okay, yes. Pure feeling is pure feeling. You know, you're just pure. The essence means you're not thinking about this or this or that. You're pure, okay?
And can I ask right there, is it always positive?
Pure, always positive. That's why it's called pure. Right. it becomes impure when you think a thought. You see, a thought will come immediately. Now thinking is happening all the time. There's nothing wrong with thinking, okay? Thinking is what produced the world, what produced your body. It's all mind, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. But the point is to know the difference, because mind itself, or thinking, can never give you the God-given beauty that you're seeking. Love, happiness, peace, joy, security, safety, all these wonderful things. You see, the perfection of being lies only in pure feeling, pure essence, pure being. Now, when you bring a thought and you think a thought, what is happening is now that pure feeling has become impure because you brought that thought. The moment you begin to think about that thought, even if it's a good thought, okay, you have become that thought now. Now, if you start believing that thought to be real, okay, immediately you identify with it. Now, you know what you mean by identify. It means I am that thought, right? This is what identification means. You make yourself part of that thought. You make that thought real. The moment you make it real, immediately you feel it in your body. It could be very subtle, but you will feel it immediately. Okay? The moment you feel it in your body, it becomes a sensation that's called emotion. Now you see how it becomes an emotion? Okay. Emotion means motion of energy. It's a movement of energy.
That
okay.
is already there. And
it's the body itself is a movement of energy, constantly moving. Well, the moment you identify with a thought and you make that thought real, then it will produce sensations in the body that are conducive to that feeling. You see, for example, you're with a guy and you might not like this guy, and he makes advances towards you that you are repulsed. Okay, that repulsion, you can feel it in your body. Yuck! You want to go away, you want to run, you want to slap him, whatever. But now let's take it the other side. Okay, you like him a lot. You know, there's a guy you're really attracted to. What does it mean, attraction? It means somehow chemically, frequency, vibrations seem to coincide with you. There is an attraction. The moment there's an attraction, immediately, and he touches you or kisses you or holds you, and he's sincere, because his mind is pure, in other words, he's really feeling pure feeling towards you, okay? Immediately, you'll begin to feel sexual. Okay? Now, the sexual feeling is a natural movement of the body that feels the attraction towards any energy. Okay? Now, when I say sexual, I'm also talking about sensual. For example, at dinner, you know, you feel romantic, you put a candlelight on, and then, you know, he's very caring and he wants you to really enjoy the meal, so he brings you some nice red wine. You know, it's all just delicious. So you taste it, and that is also sensual. Are you understanding what I mean? Okay, that sensual enjoyment. The wine gives you that enjoyment, and then you enjoy the meal even more. So there are many things that touch the senses. Now again we go back to the senses. All the senses are feeling. You see? For example, you know, I used to think I see only with my eyes, I hear only with my ears, I taste only with my mouth, and if my body is gone, my senses are gone. And I had out-of-body experience several times in my life, and I realized that that is wrong. Your senses are still there when the body is not there. You see, you had an out-of-body experience too. Yeah. So this is where we see that the senses are feeling. The feeling goes into consciousness. Consciousness activates the brain that makes it physical. And then when we have sensitive ears and sensitive eyes and everything, makes it even more pronounced, because these are tools. But all these are all feeling. Everything is a feeling, you see? We feel with every experience that we have. Now, when we start emphasizing feeling, we become alive, you see? When you become too intellectual, you are dead. Because you use only thought. You use only the mind. And the mind cannot give you excitement. It cannot give you passion. It only gives you deduction, conclusion, which most of the time is not accurate. You see what I mean? Right. But feeling always gives you passion. You see?
Can you give an example of identification with a thought? I don't really understand.
Let's say I say to you, oh, look, what's that in your face? What's that in your face? How are you feeling now? Aren't you curious about what I meant? Okay, that's identification with a thought. Okay?
Sorry.
Oh, because... but,
That was just a phone, cell phone. Okay.
But wouldn't most people in most cases identify with their own thought? Is that what you meant when you said identify?
Well, identification with a thought is self-identification. It is always coming from self-concern.
Do you mean identifying with one's own thought? Is that what you meant when you talked?
Yeah, you identify with your own thought. But the thoughts that someone gives you are also your own thoughts.
But is that not too based on this timeline that you speak of and a previous conclusion that I would have made about that?
Yes.
So then it's reactivated now. That's where the...
Yes, and if let's say you happen to be very body conscious, okay? Well, if somebody makes a statement about your body, okay, at that moment you become very sensitive towards that. Because you've that was very good.
The story.
Because you've identified with that story.
That you made.
That you made.
That you designed.
So therefore you identify with it immediately. Identify means you think that your identity is what you think.
And that
Okay.
reactivated it.
And reactivates it, right? Or it can even creates it at that moment
Yes.
too. Yeah, anything that you make personal, you identify with. You make real. When you start living from pure feeling, you see, not only the body becomes more beautiful because you become more alive and happy, also you become less conscious of yourself. So the less conscious you become of yourself, the less you identify with thoughts, what people say or what you think. You begin to see it more as thought. You don't stop thinking, you don't ever stop thinking, but you stop identifying with the thoughts. You see, because you begin to see that thought is a thought. And the thought can never be real, only feeling can be real.
And you become able to see that that's not who you are.
Yes, and you begin to see
And
that
so-
that's not who you are,
Yeah.
right. See, there's another thing that comes too. Because of the feeling nature, which is natural, the moment we make a thought real, we begin to feel that negativity as if it is real. Got it? Because the feeling itself is our reality, but it's pure. But the moment it becomes impure, we still see it as who we are with that particular thought. Are you with me so far? Right. So you have to bring it back to, it doesn't matter, because who I am is now, this moment. I am. You see? You always bring it to the center. At the beginning, it feels like it requires work, but it doesn't require work at all. Just like that, you see? It's immediate. You always keep bringing everything to the moment. And as you keep bringing things in the moment, people relax and they become themselves. You see? You could meet a stranger, for example, and he wants to meet you so much because he really heard about you, how important you are, he wants to know you. But he's nervous, you know. After all, you won the Nobel Prize, you know, and you're a famous woman. And all of a sudden he's with you, and he doesn't know what to say, how to act, or how to feel. But then you are so relaxed, and you love him so much because he's so sweet, you know, that you make him feel at home. Well, the moment you make him feel at home, he identifies less and less and less with his own drama of what he expects of you. And then he begins to see you, even though you're such a great woman, yet you're so humble and so natural and so at home. It's so comfortable to be with you. You're so real, you see? And he becomes real too, with you. So this is where this is called love, incidentally. We're going back to pure feeling all the time. Okay, so is that clear? Okay, so we understand what feeling is. Now everything is a feeling.
And in that last little example, which is great, that can be done. You can put someone at ease, not even with words.
Not even with words, with the feeling.
With the feeling.
With the feeling.
With the energy.
You see, there are some people, you know, they do hospice work. And they say, well, what shall I say to them? They are dying, you know. But the point is, why do you have to know what to say? Just go and love them. And that feeling of love that you feel when it's sincere, they can feel it. Everybody feels it.
Like an energy, a vibration.
It's an energy. The greatest thing you can do for another human being is to feel love. Love is pure feeling. Pure feeling and love are one and the same thing. Okay? It's not an emotional love. It's not wanting to make love to them. It's a seeing that we're connected. When you are with a person and you feel that very feeling itself is felt and creates healing. You see? And there are many teachings now that they teach this. How to convey pure awareness, pure feeling through you without saying a word. And people start becoming relaxed and they actually heal by being with you. You see? So it's not the words, because words, if they're imbued with pure feeling, then are beautiful. But if they're imbued by thought, what I should say, what I should do, or maybe, you know, some people, for example, praise you. They would tell you because they want something from you. They want your attention, they want their approval. So they're seeking approval. You see what I mean? Or they're wanting to control you, which is control. Or they want to make you feel safe because they don't feel secure. So they try to make you feel in a way that they can make them make themselves feel secure with you because they're not feeling secure. In other words, they seek security by being with you. So in other words, we're always seeking those three qualities. But because the moment we become aware that we're seeking those three, and those three are in pure feeling itself, we stop and become ourselves, become relaxed. The moment you become relaxed, people relax, and they feel good. You see? Why do we feel good?
Because that's our nature.
But because that's our true nature, pure feeling. You see? So everything comes from pure feeling. Pure feeling. Okay, these are the three laws of life. There are three laws in life. And all you need to know is these three. That's it. You don't need to know anything else. You don't need to study psychology, philosophy, theology, or anything. Just these three. You exist. Existence is one. It's oneness. Everything that exists is just like waves of the ocean and the ocean. Okay? Everything is one. Three. What you put out comes back to you. You see what I mean? If you put out anger, you get anger back. You know, I get people who says, oh, people are so much against me. I'm so good to them and I give love to them, but everybody is angry at me and everybody is upset with me. And the first thing I say is something that they don't want to hear. I say, that's because you're harboring those feelings. We attract the people. Why? Because we live in parallel worlds. You see? One man wrote me and he said, Burt, he said, you know, you look happy and at peace, you're always the same. He says, how can you be in a world where people are killing each other and people are atrocious and they're cruel to animals? And he was so upset, he wrote a whole thing, you know. And I said, because that's the world that you are living in now. You see, you can make any world in any way that you like. It's what you are looking at. Got it? Everything is happening in the world. Everything, good and bad, right and wrong, everything is happening. But what world are you going to choose? beauty or ugliness, fear or love. You see what I mean? But we live in, you know what I mean by parallel worlds?
Explain what you see.
It's what you see, and also there are different collective energies. I love Vancouver, I love Kitsilano. You know, I love the people around here, wherever I go. And at one point, I had to go to Hastings to do my passport. And that was in a strip near Hastings, you know. And there were so many drunks and bums and women walking the street and everything else. I said, my God, this is another world. You know. So, you know, so this is what I mean by a parallel world, that we might live in the same total world, but there's so many different expressions, you see what I mean? And people collect according to their energy. People always go to an area that is conducive to their frequency and to their vibration. See, it can be helped. We're always drawn to whatever.
So in the case of that first person who said, well, I'm always so good to these people and yet I get this angry reception from other people. So maybe that person is not really aware, or...
That's right, he's not aware. Yeah, he's just feeling, and he wants sympathy. He's looking for sympathy. But I am so good. He's not really good, he's just weak. You know, he's... you see, many people can hate other people, but they don't see it as hate. They see it as, why are they doing this to me? Why is that person looking at me without, and then I am so nice? You see, but the fact that you're seeing a person looking at you that way, it means you are thinking that person is awful looking at me that way. You see what I mean? This is what you're thinking. If you see that, if you are pure in the moment, even if somebody looks at you with hate, you grab the idea that there is some thought that is negative there, but it won't affect you. Because it doesn't matter. People are people. They think what they want to think. That, you see, you can be very intuitive and you can almost feel what people are thinking. But it won't affect you, and you never take it personally, because that's another world that a person is in. And we have a choice. We can choose to remain in the horizontal, or we can choose love, which is the center, alignment with the divine. You see? And we make that choice, yeah. So, namaste.
Namaste.